Hey, it's Scott. Welcome to Scooter's Home Garage, and I'm here working on my MTD yard machine snowblower. And it's working fine, no issues, but I haven't done any service on it in years. So this year it's time to do some work, and we're going to change the oil. We're going to lubricate some of the lube points, and we are going to fill up the gearbox that's part of the auger. Take a look at the blades, make sure we lubricate the drive system underneath. So that's what we're going to try to work on, and hopefully you are interested in coming along for the ride. See you. So here is the old MTD yard machine. It's you can see it's got cobwebs in it because it's been sitting all summer, but it's in decent shape. I don't know how old it is, 10, 12 years old maybe, something like that. It has this Power More engine, which I think is just a Honda clone from China, and it's 179 cc's. I don't know if you can see that overhead valve, and you can see it's a model 31A 32AD 752. So it's not all that much of a snowblower, to be honest. It works. I don't live way up north, so I don't get huge snowstorms. So it works just fine for what I need it for. My first task is I'm going to get this thing started because I'm going to change the oil. So I want to get the old oil nice and warm so it'll drain easily, and I'm also going to run it out of gas. So when I tilt it, it doesn't spill gas everywhere. There's just a tiny bit of gas in there, so I'm just going to let it run out. Okay, so we have to get this oil drain plug out, but it's in this metal tube. The whole thing's going to spin if you just try to loosen it. So I put a pair of vice grips on to try to hold the tube. And we'll get this loosened. There we go. Get these vice grips off. And my catch pan's not close enough, so what I'm going to do is put a funnel under it. And let that drain out. So, of course, the drain plug went down the funnel, so hopefully there's enough room in there for the oil still to get out. So we'll let that drain. Okay, so spilled some oil, typical, but just put the plug back in. And just give it a little tightening, not too crazy. There we go. Okay, so it's the next day, and drain the oil. Now I just need to lube some of the areas that have, it mentions in the manual, and that includes where these levers go into the handle. I'm just using some white lithium grease, and just wiping it up to make sure I'm not making too much of a mess. So those handles are taken care of. And then the next thing I'm going to do is now there's no oil in it, there is almost no gas in it. So I'm going to flip it up so I can get to the underside. So let's take care of that. Okay, so I'm going to shine the light here, hopefully. Okay, so we have these two gears, and I want to get those lubed up properly. And then I'm going to lube all the spots where the bushings meet the housing here. So that's a pretty simple process. So I'm just going to spray in there, down here. And again, I'm using the white lithium grease. And again, down here. This one's tough to see. Oops. All right, I'm also going to coat the gear itself with some white lithium grease. So that is good to go. Lastly, this friction plate down here is going to need a good wiping and cleaning, and I'm going to do that with some brake cleaner. Alright, so I'm going to spray down this friction plate here, which looks like it's actually in really good shape. Some brake cleaner. Get it. Any of that white lithium grease that I might have gotten on the plate, get that off. And just any muck that's on there. Now, you know, the my belts, two belts here, they're not great, but they can go another year. So I'm going to give them another year of use, and then I'll replace them. All right, that's the end of getting that all lubed up, the drive system underneath. Next up, I'm going to try to get the shear pins out. That's what the manual says to do. To pop those out, and then to spray some of that lithium grease into the shaft. So we'll get these guys out. Alright, got all the shear pins out. Now I'm going to spray just a little bit of grease into the shaft this way. And I'm also going to get it into the corners where shaft spins. All right, next up is this one. So put the shear pins back on that side. Okay, so those two are squared away. This last one in. All of that's in now. Wipe up some of this grease I got around. So the last thing I'm going to do is pull this little plug out, which you can pry out with a screwdriver. And I'm going to top off the grease that's inside this where the auger joints are, and make sure it's properly greased. For grease, I'm using this Super S 00 grease. It's literally called cotton picker grease, or cotton picker spindle grease. Got it at Tractor Supply. It was like $5. But I'm going to use this 00 grease to top that off. Okay, so I've devised a little system here. So put a little tube that fits into that auger, and then put the other side into the cap, and I'm just going to squeeze grease, hopefully, through the tube in there. That's at least the plan. Next up is to change the, not change the oil, but put oil in. I drained it yesterday, but I knew I was going to be flipping it up and stuff, so I didn't want to put new oil in yet. So I bought this MTD 5W30, specifically formulated for snow thrower engines, oil at Lowe's. Not a sponsor. And we'll start putting some of this in. And it's not going to take the whole amount, so we'll test it here in a minute. Let that drain in and then see where we're at. Okay, I just tested it and it checked it and it was almost there. Just going to put just a little more in there. Give it another test and see where we're at. Alright, so just checked it again. It's now full. So we have our oil without overfilling, which is always a bad thing. My neighbor ended up putting a whole quart of oil into their snowblower, and as they use their snowblower, it leaves an oil slick behind because it caused seal failures, so gasket failures. So make sure you don't overfill or underfill. Just try to get it right. All right, so all serviced. Let's just make sure it all works. And I had it turned upside down or turned the wrong way for sure, so let's see what that means for starting. So we got it serviced and ready to go for the winter. And right now I'm just going to let it run out of gas, start it back up, let it run out of gas. And when we're ready to use it, throw some gas in it and get it going once the snow hits. Hope this was helpful. See ya.